chances are you fall into one of two categories. 1. Being a dogshit newbie that haven't played the game since launch and are now being force-fed a gazillion fucking ads about D4 rolling out a new expansion. And 2. Being a dogshit newbie that have played the game since launch and are now being force-fed a gazillion fucking ads about D4 rolling out a new expansion. And you have hemorrhoids. Either way, I'm here to guide you through the most important decision of your life. Is this shit game actually worth spending your hard-earned money on? And the answer is, it depends. Let me explain. For starters, let's check out what you're actually getting from buying the expansion. For starters, you're going to pay a total of $40 for this. Just ignore the fact that I have the Ultimate Edition in my library. That's just a visual bug. Because if you, for some reason, decide to pay more than $40, then all you're getting are some cosmetics. Are they cool? Definitely they are. Are they worth it? Fuck no. They're cosmetics. With that out of the way, let's see what you're getting if you decide to swipe that credit card and pay $40. Because there are some features that are expansion exclusive and some that are not. That is, the new Spiritborn class along with the new Nahantu zone and everything that is in it. When it comes to the new class, it looks fun. It's basically a mishmash of every class currently in the game, sprinkled on top some monk and witch doctor from D3. And of course being 5 to 10 times more powerful than all the other classes to sell more expansions, obviously. But if we're being honest here, the class looks fun. I didn't get to play it myself, thanks Blizz. But talking with a lot of people that did get to play it, it's basically what you want to play in the new season unless you want to cuck yourself. It has 4 spirits that define how you play. Harambe, the human centipede, the jaguar, and a fucking bird. As it currently stands, the jaguar and the fucking bird looks to be completely broken, and the other classes aren't even close LMAO. I reckon a lot of people will buy the expansion for this class solely, but at the same time, the class indeed looks to be gimmicky and may not be for everyone. Personally, I'm a bit on the edge on this one. I'll at least pull out my dick for Harambe and go from there. Next up are the new endgame activities, one being the Undercity. There's not a whole lot to say here. It looks to be nothing out of the ordinary. You're running it to target farm, and you're doing it against a timer. So it's basically a whole lot like the other game modes. But it does look fun for someone that enjoys the game, I will admit that. What is indeed out of the ordinary, though, are the raids. Pretty much everything I've seen and heard about these have been highly spoken of, but I do see a problem with this. More on that later, though, because first we need to cover, what the hell are these raids? Well, they're called the Dark Citadel. Here you'll get up to 4 people together. You're tasked to do, well, different tasks. You'll need to do it by working together. For example, splitting up and clearing different alleys or bouncing a ball around. This is for sure something I haven't seen before, and I'm excited to test it out. So what is the problem I see here? Well, you'll need to communicate to do it El Mao. Everyone that has reviewed it is a streamer with friends to play with, meaning they can easily hop into Discord and start blasting. If this game mode is as difficult as I've heard, then good luck getting some random idiots to work together. But at least the game mode looks fun, I'll give them that. I'm just going to assume that it will have a lot of toxicity associated with it. For example, if you screw up playing with me, I'll drop a wet fart in your face. Alright, next up are Rune Words. And what the hell are Rune Words? Are those not a feature in Diablo 2 that was absolutely epic? Yeah, well, they're insanely mid in this game, I must say. They were available on the Season 6 PTR and they were shit. Not shit in the meaning of being weak, more shit in the meaning of being boring as hell. And why is that? For starters, you're able to use 4 of them. 2 of them, however, is only to gain essence for the other 2. These remaining 2 rune words are allowing you to utilize a few skills, which are extremely mid. For example, you'll most likely rock Warcry for the damage bonus, which is just a flat damage multiplier. You'll then maybe combine it with a defensive rune word, like challenging shout. So basically, a whole system to gain a bit of damage and damage reduction. So if you were considering buying the expansion, solely due to the reason of Rune Words making a return, then I'd advise against that. Talking about boosting up your character, you will now have mercenaries. You'll unlock these running through the Nahantu campaign, which is of course new as well, and I expect that to be great seeing how good the base game campaign was. Either way, mercenaries seem to be not as fucking useless as in D3. You'll hire one of those bad boys, which will have its own abilities and ways to support you, and you can also choose an additional skill that you want as support. These skills does seem decent compared to in Diablo 3 at least, but they are by no means insane, rather just decent. For example, movement speed as a buff, which is basically half an affix, or a way to soak up attacks once every 30 seconds. What's strong about them is mainly the skill tree, granting you multiplicative damage or defensives. But Mr. Perra Gaming, isn't this way better than what we got in Season 3? Those pets were kind of a joke? Yes, that is true. I just fucking hate having some dumbass following me around all the time. The incorporation of kittens to collect loot for me was a good update, but mercenaries are probably what I'm the least excited about in the expansion, if I'm being honest. They may prove me wrong as I get used to them, though. We'll see. Next up on the agenda is the new season theme. This does look quite fun, actually. Basically, you have a gaping asshole walking around in Nahantu, and if you kill the gaping asshole, a new gaping asshole will spawn. Enter this gaping asshole and you'll spawn in another... in here, you'll blast through it and obtain a buttload of consumables that you can utilize for farming different materials and whatnot. Other than having a new reputation system and a questline that you probably don't care about, this seems to be the main feature of the season. Alright, and those are the features that are expansion exclusive. So then I ask you, my friend, are these worth purchasing the DLC for? You're still not sure? You want my recommendation? Fine. If you find the game fun already and plan to spend more than a few hours in it, then go for it, because you'll get cucked if you don't. You'll have Helltides spawning in Nahantu, you have Renown that you need for skill points and Paragons, and you do get new game modes that will be fun. Oh, and the new class is going to be so broken compared to the other classes that they are all going to feel like shit in comparison. Now, if you haven't played the game since launch and are thinking about making a return, see this video and think to yourself, hey, this guy is pretty negative about the game, maybe I shouldn't buy the expansion. Then that is completely fair. And to you, I present you with another option. Play the standard edition. You will get cucked, but you can experience every update that has been since the base launch. And if you haven't been keeping notes on what's been going on in the game, then let me tell you that it's been completely reworked. Because let's face it, apart from the gameplay, the game was pretty dog shit at launch. And apparently it's now even worse according to IGN. Without the expansion, you can play to level 60, start grinding the pit and shit to gear up, and try most of the game out with all of the changes. If you like it, you can just buy the expansion, speedrun the campaign, and do the new shit in Nahantu. That's what I would have done if I didn't already pre-order the Ultimate Edition. And if you don't have the Standard Edition either, then you can start there, I guess. The base game is finally in a great spot and is where it should have been at launch. And for all the demented boomers and newcomers to the channel, let's take a look at what has been added to the game over the seasons, shall we? No, you don't want to do that? You want to drop a fucking sub first? Fine. Starting us off, the biggest change so far in my opinion is that to the itemization. While waking up in the middle of the night in high fever and drenching in sweat may be symptoms of Hodgkin lymphoma, they are also symptoms of scrolling through a gazillion fucking yellow gear equipment. Fortunately, though, this is no longer the case. You now have legendary gear and ancestral gear in the endgame tiers. Funnily enough, Blizz tried to make legendary gear into the new rare items during the Season 6 PTR, which was probably the dumbest decision they could have made, especially considering it's completely impossible getting ancestral amulets with skill ranks on it. But due to the most amazing YouTubers in the universe, me included obviously, which remind you still didn't get invited to play the fucking expansion, thanks again Blizz, these changes were mainly reverted. Legendary items are still dog shit, but usable. What you're after, though, are the ancestral items, which are the same as greater affix gear on this old character. You then craft those bad boys up via tempering, which allows you to add some damn good affixes to the gear and masterwork it, which is basically the same as just upgrading them. And that, my friends, is how you get an itemization system that isn't complete trash. Well done. On top of that, in the same season as this was introduced, we also got the Pit. Some people call this part of Diablo 4's History Season 4, but I call it the start of the Blizzard Redemption arc, because the Pit is great. All you do in here is run around and kill a bunch of enemies until you've killed enough of them to spawn a boss, which you also kill. In Season 4 and Season 5, the boss was painful to kill though, due to the humongous amounts of HP and bullshit mechanics. Despite this, it has been my main and favorite activity in D4, and the health is now nerfed. Pretty damn nice. Blizz also moved glyph experience into the Pit, so you won't have to run those disgusting nightmare dungeons any longer. They were fun for 1 or 2 seasons, but holy shit, am I glad they changed that by now. Nicely done. If you still enjoy them, then they are used for masterworking materials, but I reckon most will run the Infernal Hordes for that, which came in Season 5. And the best season so far, though, has to be Season 5, because that's when the Infernal Hordes were introduced. These are great. They may not look much to the world, but they basically work by you standing in here. You'll then get swarmed by demons, a fuckton of them. Your only job in here is to kill them and follow a guide telling you which buffs to use for maximum ether, which is basically a currency that you'll use at the end of the Infernal Horde. Here's a funny story. If you followed D4 for a while, then these were introduced in a PTR for Season 5, and they were so goddamn shit that I was considering skipping the season altogether. But after the PTR, they turned it around and made it one of my favorite features in D4. I'm still not all too excited about the expansion, but I'm so goddamn addicted to running these hordes in the Pit that this is probably where I'm going to spend most of my time, if I'm being honest, unless I, for some reason, get addicted to the new features for some reason. Along with introducing all of these lovely features, the game has also been getting quality of life features. A lot of them. But there is one that goes beyond all others. If you've played the game a lot, you know what I'm talking about. Fuck yes, the Codex of Power. Every aspect has moved here. Remember the times of storing all of your legendary gear just to use them as aspects later on? Yeah, I'm glad that is no longer the case. I honestly have no clue how the previous system even got into the game to start with, because anyone playing the game for more than 10 hours would have had a full stash space. It was so bad that you had to make alt characters and fill them with gear just so you could clear out your stash space. Yikers. Other than the stash tab, though, the biggest complaint I saw was that of there existing no endgame. I've already talked about all the new endgame activities coming, but just so you are aware, there are also 2 massive improvements to the game, that being Helltides and Uber bosses. Helltides now are just simply fun. There's no denying it, they are fucking epic. Demons everywhere, spawning all over the place, and lots of things to do. If the Pit or itemization changes wasn't the best update yet, then Helltides definitely were. And for the Uber bosses, you may remember the times of Season 2 or Season 3 where you had to run them hundreds of times to gain an Uber unique. Well, no more of that. If you actually play the game, then you are going to get Uber uniques. I can promise you that, because all the bosses that you are running are tormented, meaning they have 10 times the life of what they previously had, and they drop a buttload of more loot. So that update is a massive W for the game, that's for sure. And finally, you may be wondering about two of the most requested features in the game, the armory and an auction house. The former is supposedly coming soon, the latter is not. Alright friends, that's all I have for now. So to summarize, buy the expansion or don't. I don't really give a shit.
Subscribe to Paragaming right fucking now, or I will shove assortment of rusted carpentry tools up your tight rectum. Oh yeah. Watch this fucking video to the right or left as well. Hee 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 hee, hey, ooh, my asshole, ooh yeah.